Welcome back to another deep dive. Uh, Today we're going deep into the Cold War,
Yeah.
a time of secrets and, well, submarines.
And some incredible engineering.
Oh, yeah, we're talking about the story of the Soviet submarine K-129,
Absolutely.
Project Azorian, the top secret American mission to recover it.
Yeah.
It's
This is a story
a really wild story.
that reads like a spy thriller.
Absolutely.
Mm.
So picture this, right? It's 1968, the height of the Cold War tensions,
Mm-hmm.
high Soviet nuclear submarine. The K-129 disappears beneath the waves in the Pacific.
Vanishes without a trace.
It's gone. And, imagine the pressure on that captain in those final moments. I mean,
Oh, it must have been terrifying. The
Yeah.
constant strain of silent running,
right?
knowing that at any moment you could be detected,
Yeah.
and then suddenly a crisis, a catastrophic event that sends the vessel plummeting to the ocean floor.
It's a chilling thought.
Right.
Now, the sinking of the K-129 was a tragedy, of course.
Of course.
Loss of life and, obviously a huge blow to the Soviet Navy.
Absolutely.
But it also presented a potential intelligence bonanza for the U.S.
A once-in-a-lifetime opportunity.
Now, the Soviets, they launched a desperate search effort, but they were outmatched in one crucial area.
Sonar technology.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The U.S. had this significant advantage in underwater detection, right?
Yeah.
And they were able to pinpoint the location of the K-129
Mm-hmm.
before the Soviets even knew where to begin.
Yeah, it was a game changer.
And this is where a guy named John Craven enters the story.
Oh, John Craven, a legend in the world of deep submergence.
Yeah, he was a brilliant mind, and he realized something extraordinary. The K-129 might actually be intact on the ocean floor.
I mean, think about that for a second.
It's incredible.
A submarine
Sitting there,
3 miles down,
potentially.
largely intact.
A time capsule.
It's mind-blowing.
Of Soviet technology and secrets.
Exactly. And Craven, he knew that if they could recover that submarine,
Yeah.
it would be an intelligence coup of unprecedented proportions.
I mean, they could unlock a treasure trove of information about Soviet submarine technology.
Yeah.
You know,
Nuclear capability.
communication codes.
Everything.
It was a chance to peer directly into the heart of their Cold War adversary.
He was a golden opportunity.
It sounds like a plot from a spy thriller.
Right. Out of a movie.
And just like in the movies, the CIA steps in. They bring in Curtis Crook, a brilliant engineer from Global Marine,
Oh, yeah. Crook was the best of the best.
to assess the feasibility of this seemingly impossible task.
I mean, how do you even begin to think about lifting a 2,000-ton submarine from 3 miles beneath the surface?
Right.
It had never been done before.
It sounds crazy.
It was crazy, but that's what made it so intriguing.
So what was Crook's initial reaction?
Well, he was skeptical, of course.
Understandably so.
I mean, who wouldn't be?
Right.
But the more he looked into it,
Yeah.
the more he started to see the possibilities.
The challenge.
The engineering challenge,
Yeah.
the sheer audacity of the project, it was like solving an impossible puzzle.
And that's what drew him in.
It was irresistible.
I get it. So with this mix of, hope and healthy skepticism,
A lot of skepticism.
the CIA, they greenlit Project Azorian, one of the most ambitious and secretive operations of the Cold War.
A truly audacious undertaking.
And their solution, their plan to pull this off, was a method called the deadlift,
The deadlift.
which when you hear about it is going to sound as crazy as it was.
Oh, it was crazy. Oh, wow.
So describe it. Paint us a picture.
Okay, so imagine this. A massive claw,
Okay.
larger than anything ever built,
Wow.
attached to a pipe extending 3 miles down to the ocean floor.
3 miles.
They were essentially going to reach down, grab the submarine,
Grab it.
and lift it back up.
Just like that.
It seemed almost outlandish,
It does sound outlandish.
but that was the plan.
So to pull off this deadlift, they needed a ship unlike anything the world had ever seen.
Mm-hmm.
Enter the Hughes Glomar Explorer.
Ah, the Glomar Explorer.
This was a behemoth of a vessel 619 feet long.
More like a floating island than a ship.
But they couldn't exactly just sail around with this giant claw and announce what they were doing, right?
Oh, that would have been a disaster.
So to hide its true purpose, they disguised it as a deep-sea mining vessel.
Genius.
And to make the cover story even more convincing, they bring in the eccentric billionaire Howard Hughes as the public face of the project.
Howard Hughes, the reclusive aviator and filmmaker.
It's perfect.
It was a masterstroke.
Because Hughes was known for these grand, outlandish projects.
Uh-huh.
So it kind of fit his persona.
Exactly. No one would bat an eye at Howard Hughes doing something unusual.
It added another layer of intrigue and deception to the whole operation.
Absolutely. It was a brilliant cover.
So the cover-up was meticulously crafted. They held press conferences, issued public statements about this mining operation.
It was a masterpiece of misinformation.
Designed to fool not only the Soviets,
But the American public as well.
is big secret.
It was a secret on a massive scale.
And this level of secrecy, this intricate web of deception, really speaks to the climate of the Cold War, doesn't it?
It does. Both sides were constantly maneuvering, probing for weaknesses, guarding their secrets fiercely.
Yeah.
Project Azorian was a prime example of that high-stakes game.
Absolutely. But it wasn't all smooth sailing, was it?
Oh no, far from it.
During the initial test run of the Glomar Explorer, they encountered a whole host of problems.
Flooding, mechanical failures, near disasters.
It was a risky operation, pushing the boundaries of what was possible, and the pressure was immense.
Absolutely. Lives were at stake.
And then on top of all the engineering challenges, they had another problem emerge.
Uh-oh.
Investigative journalist Seymour Hersh starts digging around, sniffing out the truth about the operation.
Seymour Hersh, he was a legend known for uncovering government secrets.
A tenacious reporter.
He was relentless.
And Hersh getting wind of the operation was a major threat. I mean, imagine the potential fallout if the story leaked prematurely,
It could have been a diplomatic disaster.
undermining the entire mission.
It would have been a nightmare.
The CIA director at the time, William Colby, he had to act quickly.
What did he do?
Well, Colby struck a deal with Hersh. He offered him a full briefing on the operation later,
In exchange for...
in exchange for delaying the publication of his story.
That was a risky gambit.
It was, but it bought them some much-needed time.
They were living on borrowed time.
And with the threat of exposure temporarily contained, they pressed on finally, after years of planning construction setbacks, the moment of truth arrived.
The moment they had all been waiting for.
The massive claw reached the K-129, locked onto the hull, and then
Disaster.
it malfunctioned.
It's heartbreak.
A portion of the K-129 broke off, plunged back into the abyss.
Years of work, millions of dollars.
A chance to unlock some of the Soviet Union's most closely guarded secrets, all hanging in the balance.
It's hard to imagine the disappointment, the sense of loss after that malfunction.
It must have been devastating.
But amidst the wreckage and the setback, there was still a glimmer of hope.
Yeah.
A portion of the K-129 was still in the claw,
Right.
on its way to the surface.
And that remaining section held untold secrets, right? A glimpse into the inner workings of the Soviet military machine.
It was a tantalizing prize.
But it also held something else, something that added a deeply human dimension to this Cold War drama.
You're talking about the human remains.
Exactly. They recovered the bodies of 6 Soviet sailors, and they gave them a proper burial at sea with full military honors.
A gesture of respect amidst the rivalry.
Yeah, a reminder that behind the political maneuvering, real lives were at stake.
It's a powerful reminder.
It is. And those 6 sailors weren't the only ones they found. Incredibly, they also recovered the captain's body, remarkably preserved after 6 years on the ocean floor, still lying in his bunk.
Wow.
Haunting image, isn't it?
It is, and in his quarters they found something else, a personal journal, a window into the life of a Soviet submarine captain during those tense Cold War years.
It's like something out of a movie.
It's incredible.
Can you imagine the stories the journal could tell? The daily routines, the pressures, the fears, the hopes of those sailors? It's a reminder that history isn't just about grand events and political figures. It's about the individual lives caught in the currents of those events.
Absolutely. And while the full contents of that journal remain classified, its discovery underscores the intelligence value of Project Azorian. Every piece of the K-129 they recovered, every piece of equipment, every document provided valuable insights into Soviet submarine design technology, even their operational procedures. It was a goldmine for U.S. intelligence analysts.
So a huge win for the U.S. intelligence community.
Right.
But even with this intelligence coup, the CIA kept a tight lid on the whole operation. They refused to confirm or deny anything related to Project Azorian, leading to what became known as the Glomar response.
Glomar response.
Yeah, have you heard of that?
Oh, yeah. It became infamous, a symbol of government secrecy and stonewalling.
Right. It raised questions about the balance between national security and the public's right to know.
A classic dilemma.
It sparked a debate about the limits of government secrecy in a democratic society. Think about it. This happened in the 1970s, during a time of growing distrust in government following the Watergate scandal. The Glomar response only added fuel to that fire, further eroding public trust.
And the irony is, the secrecy surrounding Project Azorian probably generated more public interest and speculation than a straightforward admission ever would have.
Absolutely. It's a classic case of unintended consequences.
Exactly.
But let's shift gears for a moment and talk about the people who made this incredible feat possible. The engineers, the scientists, the technicians who designed and built the Hughes Glomar Explorer. The crew who risked their lives to carry out this operation. They were true pioneers.
Absolutely. They were pushing the boundaries of what was possible.
Men like Curtis Crook, the mastermind behind the deadlift method, and John Graham, the brilliant naval architect who designed the Glomar Explorer.
A ship like no other.
And we can't forget John Craven, the deep submergence expert, whose vision set this whole chain of events in motion. These individuals weren't just following orders. They were problem solvers, innovators driven by a desire to explore the unknown and to push the limits of human ingenuity.
They were true visionaries.
Their story is an inspiring testament to human innovation, but it's also a cautionary tale. The Cold War was a time of intense competition of technological leaps and bounds, but it was also a time of immense risk of potentially devastating consequences.
The stakes were incredibly high.
And even with all their ingenuity, the primary targets of Project Azorian, the missiles and the code books, those remain lost in the depths of the Pacific.
A reminder that even the most ambitious undertakings can fall short, that nature can be unforgiving, and that some secrets remain stubbornly hidden.
It's true. The story of the K-129 and Project Azorian is a complex tapestry of Cold War espionage engineering marvels, human drama, and enduring mystery. It's a story that captivates the imagination and leaves us pondering the motivations and the consequences of those who dare to reach into the abyss. But amidst the intrigue and the technological wonders, there's a profound human dimension that can't be overlooked.
The 6 Soviet sailors whose remains were recovered.
They serve as a somber reminder of the human cost of the Cold War.
Their story is a poignant reminder that behind every headline, every historical event, lie individual lives affected by the choices of nations.
So true.
And it raises questions that resonate even today. How far should governments go in the pursuit of national security? What are the ethical implications of covert operations? And perhaps most importantly, how do we balance the need for secrecy with the public's right to know?
These are questions worth pondering as we continue to explore the murky depths of the Cold War and the legacies it left behind. It really makes you think,
And it does. It's a story that just stays with you.
the audacity, the engineering, the tragedy, the secrecy, all those unanswered questions. It's a truly captivating chapter of Cold War history.
Absolutely. And for anyone who wants to go even deeper into this story, I highly recommend The Taking of K-129 by Josh Dean.
Oh yeah, that's a great book.
It's a gripping account of the entire operation, from the initial idea to the recovery effort and the aftermath. It reads like a spy thriller, but it's all true.
It really does. And for those who are particularly interested in the intelligence side of things, The CIA's Greatest Covert Operation by David H. Sharp is another excellent resource.
Oh yes, Sharp's book is a must-read for anyone who wants to understand the shadowy world of Cold War intelligence.
He really delves into the intricate web of espionage and secrecy surrounding Project Azorian, exploring the motivations and the consequences of this daring gamble.
It's fascinating stuff.
So we've only scratched the surface of this incredible story, but hopefully this deep dive has given you a new appreciation for the complexities of the Cold War and the remarkable feats of engineering and espionage that took place beneath the waves.
It's a story that has it all.
It really does.
Huh.
And as you continue to explore this story on your own, think about those broader questions. It raises, what are the limits of government secrecy in a democratic society? How do we balance national security with the public's right to know? And what other secrets might still be hidden, waiting to be uncovered in the depths of the ocean or the archives of history?
Those are questions that we're still grappling with today.
They are. So we'd love to hear your thoughts. Did you know about Project Azorian before this deep dive? What surprised you the most? Share your reactions with us on social media. We always love hearing from our fellow deep divers.
And until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep diving deep into the fascinating world of history's hidden depths.
That's all for today. We'll see you next time for another deep dive into history's mysteries. Until then, stay curious.